All right, welcome everybody. I am your host, Damien Jaxxyn. Here with me today, I have Megan. How you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, so I met you a couple weeks ago at open mic over at the Space,
Yeah.
which we will probably go check it out a little bit later.
Yeah.
Tell the people where you're from, something about you.
Okay, cool. Well, my name's Megan WREN. I'm from a small town in Ohio.
Hmm.
I grew up in a little farm city driving through the corn. Um, and yeah, and then I moved to California in 2015 and been doing music since 2022.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were saying before that you were in a duo at first, and now you're doing things on your own.
Yes.
Like how was it with the duo? What was the name?
The duo, it was, I don't actually want to say what the duo was. But it was fun, you know, I was performing in places around LA, and just like any relationship, things change over time, and we decided it was time to split ways, and so I'm doing my own thing now, which is very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I heard you a bit over at the open mic, and what would you say your style is?
That's a good question. So I go by Megan WREN because WREN is like, she's the moniker. She's the alter ego. She's like the sassy boss lady, don't mess with me. And then Megan's like this really sweet, heartfelt person. And so I like to mesh those two. But really my style, my sweet spot is in that like upbeat, fun, hip hop, sassy rap type stuff.
Nice. So, how did you get into like making music or just doing music in general?
That's a great question. I remember I was sitting in my apartment in South Orange County, and I was writing a poem. And then all of a sudden, with the poem that I was writing, I heard a melody with it. And then I kept singing it, and I was like hurting myself because I had no idea how to sing. So I was like, well, I better go take a singing lesson. And I took a singing lesson. She taught me like basic mechanics. And then she's like, I really think with you writing songs, you should just learn to play the piano. So my singing lessons switched into 30-minute piano lessons. And then I taught myself everything since. And I've like taken a few vocal lessons here and there, but mostly it's been like self-taught process.
Well, man, taking piano lessons that is a toll because I'm pretty sure with that you like learned all like the majors and sharps and all that stuff too. So you actually learning how like the structure of music too, also at the same time, right?
Yes and no. I think I taught myself and learned enough to where I knew chord structures and keys, but beyond that, like I'm not playing like this. I am just playing chords to be able to put to a song.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you did piano lessons. You said a little bit of like vocal lessons, stuff like that. Anything else that you like got into to like get more into like your singing?
Well, you know, it kind of really just evolved. So I wrote these couple first songs, and I'm like, these are great. I don't care what anybody said. I was like, so In My Power and this song called Heart Dance were the first two songs that I ever wrote. And for those two to be my first songs, I know you haven't heard them yet. You've heard In My Power, I think. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm going to LA. Here we go. I'm gonna write songs for other people. And I initially had the vision that like Lizzo would sing In My Power. Like, you ain't gonna date me. I'm gonna date you. And then so like as I kept going up to LA to like network, people were like, well, if you want to write for other people, you need to perform. So I was like, I don't even care if I suck. I believe in the song. So I started performing, got better over time, and then I was a little bit insecure about it, but then I started doing this thing. Actually, one of my friend Paulo had the suggestion of, as I'm playing the song, to keep playing the chord progression and then like do a spoken word poetry in the middle of the song. So then I started doing that, and then I started doing that with body paint. I know, but I know that goes that.
Elaborate on that. Like,
okay.
You went from doing,
Okay.
you said doing the spoken word, which makes me think of like Jill Scott and stuff like that, where you know she would do stuff like that in some of her songs.
Yeah.
And then got into body paint. Oh.
That'll actually, one of my friend Julie, I showed her these pictures. There was this one time I had just like done a face mask, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And I was like taking a picture of it, and I showed her. She's like, what if you put like paint on your face while you're like saying your poems? And I'm like, oh, this is great. But then the paint turned into a visual representation of the emotions that are inside coming out. Yeah.
This seems like Have you ever seen the movie Sorry to Bother You?
No.
So it's a part in that movie. Like the movie is very weird. I think it's like Jordan Peele or something like that. But it's a part of the movie where I believe it's Tessa Thompson, and she's like on stage, and it's supposed to be like an art piece or something. And the entire movie is like it's all black cats, but it's the lead. I can't think of his name right now, but it's all of them like when they're trying to appease to like a different audience, they use their quote unquote white voice, and she's on stage and she's saying like this speech or something like that while people are throwing like paint or something at her, and it kind of I know it's not in the same vein, but it makes me think of that. It's just like you're up there, doing your thing, and then just putting paint on and stuff like that. And it is a very visual thing. For some people, it probably is like jarring because it's like what is, or like very, I won't say jarring, but like a confusing thing because it's like what. But I feel like if it goes with it, for like especially like the words and what you're going with, that is an experience.
Yeah.
Kind of like Blue Man Groupish.
Kinda, but it's like it's intentional but not intentional. Where it's like I'll do a spoken word poetry and it's like, what am I thinking? There's a word of like, it's so hard not to be blue when you're left with nobody but you. I put blue paint like on my face like it was tears, and then like you cut me like a knife. I'd rub paint against my throat like this, so to really just like use the visual representation of what was happening. It got chaotic, that's for sure.
People were like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So then I was doing that for a while, and I was like, I think that there's something I can really do here. So then I started working with a theater director, because I'm like, oh, I can turn this into a theater show. And then I thought, okay, I'm playing the piano, I'm just doing it, piano a cappella. And I was like, then I can transition this into like a produced show. So it kind of starts and tells a story like that. So then I started producing my songs, and that was like the first couple that I had produced. And the first two I think that I did were Hot Sun and In My Power and Hard Dance were the first three that I produced. And then the producer that I was working with, he was like, let's just like do this as a team. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so the theater part kind of fell apart. So now kind of like after that duo was gone, we're reintegrating everything. Yeah.
I'm surprised you never got into just like making stage plays with it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was like working to do with the theater. Yeah.
Because like even have like a huge production like that to where you're doing the music and everything too, or even if you're writing the words to it.
Yeah.
It is having people perform it like that would be like a huge deal. Would you think about going back to that after you do your readjustment and stuff of making, because you're doing your like solo thing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something you would think about doing within like the next couple of years, where it's like you got your solo thing up and running, and then going back into like doing theater and stuff like that, especially like around town, because you need more like originality out here.
Yeah.
And I know there are, considering Champaign or Ben is supposed to be for arts, that could be something that could be like big thing.
Yeah, I mean totally, and like right now I'm in the process of developing the story that goes along with this rebrand, and also turning it into so that I can mesh these two. And I feel like that's also like the hip hop and then these ballads and the paint and the piano. I think as artists, a lot of people think, oh, I need to be a hip hop artist. Oh, I need to be, a rap, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They have to put themselves into boxes, but like that's not how music flows through me. Like I'll write a country song, I'll write a ballad, I'll write a hip hop song. I just don't know. But these are all aspects of me. But like, sure, all these things aren't going to appeal to the same people. That's why I kind of like, okay, here's Megan, and here's Ren.
And I definitely get where you're coming from with that, because I know there's a lot of people like Post Malone. People got on him about it, where he took influences in like rap, but then started doing like pop and country and stuff like that. It's like it makes it look a certain way, especially I'm not saying from an outsider, but from people who are quote unquote in the culture or in the know, whatever like that, to see someone like of a different race try to do like rap and stuff like that, you kind of get that flack. We see it with Eminem all the time. And even now, like he's been doing it like 40-something years, he still gets that flack. And you see, whether it's Post Malone or whoever, where they try to go into like that rap lane, and then they switch out, and they kind of get flack for it.
Yeah.
Have you experienced anything like that where they're like maybe not rapping but doing like the spoken word or something like that? where people try to like, what are you doing or whatever, like try to say because of like who you are that you shouldn't be doing it?
No, I haven't really got anything that I think that the only really challenge that I've gotten is I've gotten a lot of feedback, but the pushback that I've gotten of like, Megan, this is a hard industry. Like, what are you doing? This is like, this is the hardest industry you could do. Like, shouldn't you do something else? That's really, I haven't actually had anybody tell me like, stop, like, don't do what you're doing. And if they thought it, they didn't tell me to my face. Luckily, that could happen. We're still in the baby phases.
True.
But I also feel like you kind of have to expect that as an artist, especially when you're doing things that are outside of the box and different. Like, you're going to rub some people the wrong way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, well, I think the difference, because you mix a lot of it together. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to make this rap album, and then I'm going to do this, and then whatever. It is a blend of everything, which people should do, because we all don't just listen to one specific thing, and not one specific genre just, creates our taste.
Right.
So I believe what you do is actually like going to be successful, because you can make like a pop song or something like that and have like some rap or rock influence, or make a country song that has whatever influence in it as well.
Yeah. So,
what are some like things that do inspire you when you make your music?
Life experience. Yeah, I don't actually ever try to write anything. Sometimes it's just like me sitting at the piano and something will just flow through. But the last few songs that I've written were based upon like direct experience, or it could just be like I'm walking around and then I just hear these like little melodies and you're like, oh, that's interesting, and I'm like, ooh, can I make a story from it? But I was telling my sister the other day, because I was listening to these songs, I'm like, all songs are written about people, or like your own, like, or yourself. Like, isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
It makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, oh, interesting. So yeah.
Well, music is usually about, either a person's life or
Yeah.
what they're going through at the time, a feeling.
Yeah.
Something that they've seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that like music has to have that human touch to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like even with like AI right now, it doesn't have like that thing that touches you.
Right.
It could be a great song,
Right.
but it's not gonna last.
Right.
What I want to ask you? What do you think is like your best song that you made? Or let's not say that. Let's say, I guess, the most personal, since we were talking about, putting, our own like personal touches on things.
That's hard to say, because I feel like they're all incredibly personal, and they were probably more personal at the time that I wrote them. Like, the most personal one to me now is probably one of the most recent ones that I wrote. You know what I mean? But if I'm gonna say, that's a good question. That's such a good question. They're all so personal. I can tell you my least personal one.
What would that be?
Probably Boss Bitch.
Huh.
Yeah, she's kind of like that one. She's just like, you're not. She's a boss bitch. I don't know what else to say besides that. And she's like, some of the lyrics are, no, you cannot handle this. Yeah, I'm always getting rich. My money making millions. I'm a boss bitch. Got my plane to Tokyo. Lining up my Romeos. Take them on a rodeo. That one was, I just remember writing that one and it just being like, I'm a boss.
I mean, you're failing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But probably like the one that's like the most emotional, or probably there's 3 different ones that I would say are most emotional. What Are You Doing, maybe? That one's about like feeling not lost, but like there's this relationship where you're just like, we that pull and give. We're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm hurt, but why do you keep reaching out to me? Heart Dance is about like an extreme heartbreak, but then one of the most recent songs that I wrote is called Champaign. You heard Champaign. Did you hear Champaign? Have you heard Champaign?
Was that when you came to?
Yeah. I remember, because you're like, I was like, hey, I just moved to Champaign. You're like, boo. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. But it's like I fell in love with champagne. It was a cold winter's night when I came. I was losing my mind and my heartbreak was prime, but I settled down drinking
Oh
champagne.
yeah, because you say you moved in like November.
I
or something?
did.
That. Oh, okay. I can feel that because I moved here in January of 2023 and
Yeah.
like the coldest of cold.
Yeah.
Like the snow didn't just hit, but like I at the time I was living out of my car,
Yeah.
and so it was like, all right, it's not too bad, and then it was just like negative temperatures
Yeah.
and all this snow. So yeah, like November isn't too bad, like depending on when you moved here,
Yeah.
because we do get those like those cold
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah, and that was like, but I'm so shocked at how welcoming Champaign has been, because it was like I just came from this like heartbreak. I just lost this like partnership that I had, lost a business that I had, and I just like had nothing besides the things in my car. And just like, you know, my best friend like opened up her doors, like, come here, it's fine. Like, I met my boyfriend, and it's like, it's just like, it's been so like blossoming. Like, I've met you, I've met other really cool producers and these other artists, which like I haven't found a community like this anywhere, and so it's really cool.
The community here is very like opening, especially for like musicians and artists and stuff like that, because it's we want people to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing like it's not a competitive thing, which I do like. Like outside of DJing, like me as a DJ, it is a little bit like hit and miss of like knowing who to be around.
Yeah.
But even still, like the people in town, like they want to see people strive because it's like they want to see the growth.
Yeah.
You know, especially like living here, you know, the mayors and stuff in town, like they say they want a lot of like art and music and different stuff like that, but it doesn't really feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they want a certain level of it, or like a manufactured version of what things used to be. Going back, let's say you move in here, what has been, I guess, the hardest adjustment?
That's a great question.
Because out here, it's not as big as LA.
Yeah.
There's not as much stuff. Like, and I'll be honest, a lot of things closed down very early.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I really can't even say that it's been a hard adjustment, just because like what I've needed since I've been here is to like be a little bit more reserved and internal and like work on myself. So like, and it's been winter, so you know, I haven't been wanting to like go out or anything, but I think maybe just like, not that there's plenty of access to nature, but you know, coming from LA, when you have like the ocean, you have the mountains, all like very close. I would say that's like the thing I miss, but I can't necessarily. It's been a hard adjustment. I feel like it's been a very like calm, slow, like okay, good. You know, it hasn't been like anything jarring.
It's been like baby steps.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that slow ease into it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not bad.
No.
Has there anything that you've missed from leaving like LA since being here?
Honestly, no. Like it was just like shocking to me.
Man, that's very surprising.
Right? I mean, if I really think about it, I miss my apartment in Santa Monica. I miss being able to just like walk to the beach, but that's like only if I really think about it. And I just remember at points in times when I was doing those things, I was very like intentional about enjoying them, because I'm like, this is not gonna last forever. Like I just like knew that it wasn't. And even like being in my apartment by myself, like there were times when I was like really lonely and like scared and depressed, but I'm like, it's okay, like honor these times right now, because like you're gonna have a point in your life where you're gonna have friends, you're gonna have a partner, you're not gonna be by yourself, and you might want more alone time. So just, you know, be comfortable with what you have in the moment.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm glad you are adjusting to from basically going from Pacific Northwest to the Midwest.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot colder here.
Yeah.
Going back into the music,
Uh-huh.
Who are some like art and stuff that do it? It kind of maybe not inspire your writing, but at least inspired you into getting into like music.
It's a great question. Some of this has been retrospective with me now, like for figuring this out, but Kesha 100%. And I just remember being like 16, driving to her. I think it was not Animal, but the one before that had TikTok on it. I remember driving my car, listening to that. Like, I just have these like distinct memories. 303. Do you remember that band?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Trust.
Yeah. 303, Kesha, Love Macklemore, that too, Wiz Khalifa, Machine Gun Kelly.
Machine Gun Kelly is, oh, I'm gonna say a weird one. It just depends on what phase of Machine Gun Kelly. Because,
I hear you. Here's the thing. I'm like an OG Machine Gun Kelly fan.
oh, it's like it's fast rapping.
Like his Lace Up mixtape.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he's from like the area that I grew up in, so I remember going to his shows in high school.
I thought he was from Cleveland.
Yes, I'm from Cleveland.
Oh.
Yeah. I guess I didn't say that specifically. Yeah, I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland, but he would come to like the local high schools and like do meet and greets, and he would go to shows that were like 10, 20 minutes from my house. Yeah, I got a picture of him. I'm very proud of it. You want to see it, MGK? But then outside of that too, like I grew up listening to a lot of country music, like Garth Brooks, Toby Keith, Celine Dion. What's the Bare Naked Ladies?
Are they country?
No, that's kind of like
they're rock
alternative, rock alternative, yeah. But just so like there's a wide variety of things that really influenced me that I can now hear in the songs that I write.
And even what you just said, like that is a very eclectic and really good like collection of artists in groups and bands, because they've gone on to reach big heights. Where do you see your music going in like the next couple of years? Or where do you see yourself with like your music process and everything? Where do you see yourself like doing bigger stages, or do you want to go like, I made these songs, I've done this, and then go into, like we were talking about earlier, like going into doing the theater productions with the paid, or do you see yourself doing something different?
Good question. So I definitely want to tour. Like I definitely want to like do festivals, big stages. I want to integrate the paint and like theatrical performance into that a little bit, because I really want this like subliminal teaching to come through of like being able to feel comfortable processing your emotions, and like in between all of these, like say I do like a costume change, having the story behind all the songs, and like teaching meditation in the process too, of just like at least leading by example of like being able to get in touch with yourself and like kind of like knowing that that's okay. And I know that like overall culturally I think that's like shifting to where that's like a lot more common and people are understanding the benefits of the practice, but I really want to be a pioneer in that too, because I also think that, I mean, one of the big reasons I got into music too is because I've been a health and wellness coach for 12 years and I was really frustrated with marketing, and it was like the first time that I wrote my first song and I was like, people will buy into pop culture before they do health. So I'm like, if I can be in pop culture and like and lead by example, like I'm winning. But there's like this part of me, like I never really saw myself as an artist until I did. My like goal is to tour for a couple years, and then I want to be on the other side of like artist development and helping with like songwriting, production, but also like teaching people how to unlock their own creativity. And yeah, like artist development is really what I want to be doing long term.
Right. If you go back in time, what advice would you give yourself when you first started out? Like from experience that you have now, or like everything you're going to do now, what advice would you give yourself back then? Like, were you a little bit more like shy and timid back then?
No.
Like, I was gonna. You never know, because there are some people who like they're afraid to get on stage, and then years later they're just up there commanding the shit. So
I probably was. If nobody, I think honestly, and I've gotten this more than once, that anything that I've lacked in talent, I've made up with in my boldness. I'm not kidding you, this whole experience, my whole journey on music, it's been hard. There's been a lot of challenging things that have happened. But I feel like it's also so new that I can't really tell myself anything to do differently, because every day is just like a new experience. I can't even say there's things that I would have done differently, because I don't think I knew any better. But like, You know what I mean? Like I just can't say like okay, well maybe I'll approach this differently next time. But I can't say, oh, I wish I would have done that. You know, it's just like she has like really been my guide of how to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense because
Yeah.
it's basically using the experience that you had and just seeing what you've done, and it's like need to just grow from that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they, what you said, like mastering your boldness or using your boldness for the lack of confidence or whatever. The people say is like you mastering in BS, which is mastering in bullshit. Like
Yeah.
I heard that even when I was in high school. It was like, oh, you had a master's in BS, which it's and I do that even when I'm at work, where it's like if it's something I don't know, I just bullshit until people think I actually know. It's having that mastery of weaving through things.
So, you know, I actually use my lack of knowledge to my advantage in the sense of where like I was up front that I didn't know. And I didn't and I would just never with people and be like, I'm new to this. Like what do you got? What do you think I should do? And just like wanting to like learn from other people rather than like, hey, listen to my stuff. You know what I mean? And I found that doesn't work. That definitely doesn't work. Of like, hey, like what can you do for me? It's like no, like can I just learn from you and can I take this and apply it to whatever I do? You know?
Yeah, because then it also get you like better networking skills too.
Yeah.
Because people see that you're not just in it for fame or money, whatever. It's you actually want to work on your craft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, but that's honestly like really like would that be advice that you would give to somebody is like to learn more from other people instead of just it's not a problem being independent and trying to learn stuff on your own, but basically to get help from other people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna get places faster by asking for help, you know, and like a rising tide lifts all boats, and like, you know, how like they say, like for me, like a song is a child, like this is my little child, like it takes a village to raise a child, you know what I mean? And also to like, I mean, you can do it on your own, but like, what fun is it? You know, I mean, it is fun, but like when you actually, there's like something really magical when you're able to like collaborate with other people and we're like, oh, we're building this together, this is great. Like I don't know, just like I feel like it makes it, I mean, you can write the song by yourself. Most of the songs I've written alone, but then like when they've gone into production, like I'm working with other people and it's fun to like feel the energy and see something come more to life, because it's something I want to do even, you know what I mean? And people have the skill set to make it good, and my skill set is in the lyricism, you know?
Yeah.
Does that answer the question? I think
Yeah,
it does.
that answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really can't think of anything else. I will leave off on this because I do this with everybody.
Okay.
Whether it's here, even though you are new, it's here, back at home, or have you like been on tour before?
No, I've done shows, but not like on a tour, no. Not yet.
Have you visited different like states?
Yes.
Okay. What has been your favorite state to visit?
You mean like musically? Or like...
Musically, personally?
Well, California. You can't beat California with the mountains, you got the ocean, then you got the desert. There's just so much diversity. And not only like the landscape, but the people and the things that you'll find. You know, I feel like California, and even LA, I think sometimes has a bad reputation, but it's very, I know, don't get me wrong, the traffic's terrible, but like you're there, you're going because you know that's what you're getting. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just like you never know who you're gonna be talking to. Like I remember I was at a coffee shop and I just happened to be sitting next to two Seinfeld writers. You just don't know that. Like walking down the street, I remember seeing Lindsay Kratz. It's just like what? This is, you just never know. Who's the guy that's in Shameless? He was just walking down the street. Like you just never know who you're gonna see or talk to.
Dude from The Bear.
I think so. Yeah. No, not that one. No, the old guy, the drunk.
William H. Mason.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like makes it exciting, and like, you know, even though they might not be a face of like that you recognize, like who knows what they've done with their life? You know what I mean?
But yeah, very true.
Yeah, it's like makes it exciting.
All right, so ask that. So now I will leave it off with this.
Okay.
Whether it is here in town, even though you're new, Cali, Ohio, or whatever, where's your favorite place to get food?
To get food? Oh, God.
This stumps everybody.
It really does. And the one that comes to mind is gonna be this place called Town Hall in Cleveland. I mean, I think it's just because, oops, sorry. I think it's just because every time, it's not even the food, it's the people that I'm with. Otherwise, I love cooking at home. Yeah, Town Hall is just like a normal restaurant. Kind of like more on the health food side, but it's just like a vibe in there, and it's always good. Always a good brunch, good spot. Have you been to the Maple and Yolk here?
I haven't.
It's really good.
Maple and
Yolk.
Where is that at?
It's on Lincoln. I don't know what the cross street is.
I have to look it up later.
Yeah.
But all right, Megan WREN, it has been nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Let people know where they can find you, where they can find your music, plug all your socials and everything like that.
Okay, I'll plug the socials. Just keep a lookout on the socials because the music is coming. Like I said, I took it down. It's coming back up very soon as I finish these last couple songs, which is very exciting. But my Instagram handle is It's Megan WREN, ITSMEGAN WREN. And thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Hope y'all enjoyed the interview, and see y'all next time.